Hi, this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I am Siofra Bradigan. As promised, today we're going to talk about witch balls. And there's all kinds of witch balls out there. So, let me think. Which thing do I do first? I wanted to show you one kind of witch ball that I have in my yard. Um, you don't have to have the kind that we're going to be making today with Christmas ornaments. But say this right here. You see that really well. So this is a float, a little 4-inch float, I think, is what it is. And I have this on my fence in my yard. And this is for protection. I have tiger eye on this one, and some clear quartz and some red beads. I'm not sure if, can't remember if the red beads were like crystal beads or just glass beads or not. But I put all these pentagrams on it. So it gets kind of worn when it's out in the weather, and every so often the wire on these things sort of break. I need thicker wire most of the time. But I have this on a hanger, like so, and I can put this inside my chain link fence and hang it on the south side of my property. And I started doing these because I had some floats out there and someone stole them. They went through the fence with their hands and cut the macrame stuff that was holding the float in place and then took the ball, which was really annoying, especially since I had said something about having these floats when I was at a store, and the guy says, oh, people like to steal them, and it was like 2 days later that someone stole them. So I was pretty annoyed with that person for saying that and for getting someone the idea. And the fact that someone stole them from me was definitely something that ticked me off. This is another one which also has a tiger eye on it that the wire sort of came off that was holding it in place. But so you don't have to have like something you can put inside of the ball. You can put things on the outside of the ball and decorate them with whatever you want to do in order to have them. So this one will go right back out on my fence once I get the thicker wire. I had it indoors for the last while. But I thought I'd show you the other one so you get an idea. So the idea of all ball is just that however you decide to put it together, it's either to benefit you and your property, your household, and that kind of thing, or to protect you and your property and your household and that kind of thing. So we picked up some clear ornaments that we showed you before. And these are not glass, they're plastic, which is actually not bad, I don't think. I don't have a problem with plastic. And this way, of course, if you drop them, they're not going to break on you automatically. So we started out with one of these things. And I made one for Ian already. I did his without any paint on the inside. And so inside of this one, we have certain items that I've put in. And his, I wrote down what I put in them so that I could remember. And in his, I put in cinnamon, peony root, orange peel, cloves, rose from my garden that I had dried that was in my room, myrtle leaves, caraway seed, and rosemary, dried rosemary. And with the properties of all those things, the different properties are cinnamon is happiness and comfort, peony root is health, protective, and good for good fortune and breaking jinxes, apparently. Orange peel is spiritual protection. Cloves are good luck and prosperity. Rose is divine love, peace, happiness. Myrtle leaves attract love and drive away evil spirits and ward off harm. Caraway seeds are for health, protection, and love, and rosemary is for health and protection. So when I put all these things in here together, basically the properties of this ball are health, protection, love, good fortune, ward off harm, and drive away evil spirits. So we hadn't finished it completely yet. And what I still needed to do was to put a ribbon on it. I brought my ribbon out. And then you can use this, you can hang this up on a tree. If you're using it for Yule, you can give it away to family members as a decoration. You don't necessarily have to tell them what it's for. It depends on how you feel about that. They might just like the decoration and the natural ambiance of the herbs and spices and things like that are in there. And you can do your string any way you want and make it short, make it tall, put bows in it, frill it up, and what have you. And you can this one I did without any paint or anything in it because you don't have to necessarily paint them. That's one of the things you can do, but you can just do them this way and do them straight. So that was the one I made for Ian. So when I started preparing some of these balls, of course, first you have to take out your little plastic hook, the metal hook with the plastic thing on it. And they come out pretty easily. And then you put that aside so you don't lose it, so you have your empty ball container for you. And if you're going to use paint with it, I tried this one here. The idea was to paint this silver on the inside, and it does have some reflective property to it. But this particular silver paint that I had, apparently most of it leaked out. When you're done putting your paint in, you put it upside down in like an egg carton, which is a nice container to hold it in, and then any extra drips out into the carton and doesn't like mess everything up. You can use different colors. So for this one, I wanted to do some blues. I have some paint in here. The purplish paint is actually a paint shifting paint. It goes from blue to purple. And you can just do stripes, and you don't have to completely cover the entire thing up and use that as a base. Same thing about putting it upside down. And then I did one with some red paint. Same kind of thing, just sort of making a design. So you can add different colors to it however you want to do it. It's sort of, with these particular balls, I had to try and squeeze the paint down along the edges and rotate them to try and get the kind of coverage I was looking for. But these guys are all prepared and all dry. So they're ready for me to do something with. And these were basically some of the paints that I used. Just your basic acrylic paint you pick up at any store. Walmart carries them, inexpensive. I think the dollar store has them too. You can get different types of acrylic paint at the dollar store now, so you can get a good amount of paint for not much money. You can, of course, add other things besides just the items that are in the ball already. So you can add like crystals if you want to add rose quartz for love, or gentleness, or what have you. If you have any chips, this is a good use of crystal chips and stone chips. So, because you don't need many of them to go in there. So one of the traditional ways that they describe of making these the protection kind of ball is by different lengths of like red thread. Really didn't have a whole bunch of actual red thread, but you just want to get a bunch of thread together. And the idea of the thread of different lengths is when you put it in the ball, any negative energy that comes in to that space is going to be trying to find the end of the thread, I guess, theoretically. And so with the different lengths of thread that you have and that kind of thing, it gets to be confusing and tangles them up. That's what they say, is tangle the bane up. So let's say this is one length of thread. get different lengths, the other sides or the other parts. Not very good scissors. It looks like, oh, that guy needs to be cut. Some thread in there. I'll put that down here and get some slightly different color red. Make it smaller. And while you're doing it, you're focusing, of course, on the purpose of putting the thread in there in the first place. Because you want to charge it up as you're going. Here's some shorter ones. Apparently I brought the wrong scissors. Something black on there. Hubby must have used them to cut something when I wasn't in here. That's probably what he did. Cut some electrical tape. It got stuck on there. Okay, there's another size. That'll make a longer set. If I can find the other end of this thing. Apparently it's... There we go. Try that again. And that's the nice thing about this. You don't have to be exact. Not like it has to be a specific length or you're doomed to fail or anything like that. A lot of these kind of folk traditions work because so many people have used them over the centuries for that exact purpose. So they kind of have a built-in charge, as it were, with all the different traditions associated with it. And that's one of the ways that old magic can be helpful to us, because we don't have to necessarily do all of the energy ourselves. There we go. So then I'll take all these different lengths together, sort of ball them up. Since they're red and this is a red ball, I'm going to stick them in there. Now, if you wanted to, you could also put in pins and needles and that kind of thing like you would in a witch's bottle, but you don't have to. And and then I have some live rosemary. I thought would be kind of nice to add to a couple of these. I just picked this fresh from my garden. Poke that in there. There's a nice smell to it. And I like the rosemary, so I'm going to use that. A bunch of them. My own clear ones. That one would like to have more. Okay. Apparently it wanted some red thread. There you go. Get there. And then a local cedar tree decided to drop a piece of itself on my lawn. I thought, well, that's nice. There's these nice cedar berries here, which I think are just great. And cedar is definitely a very protective kind of plant. And the berries are, you don't get them all that often. They're tiny little cones, I guess. Itty bitty ones, but they're really cute. And put some of the leaf part in it. Probably shouldn't use my scissors on this, but since he's already mucked them up, why not? It was kind of fun looking through my cupboards to see what kind of stuff I might have available for making some of these. Let's stick that rest of that one in there. Shove you in there. There you go. But if you don't have this available, there's lots of other things you can use. That's the nice thing about these things, is that there's multi potential for all of this stuff. Stick you in there. So I went through my cupboard and found all kinds of cool items that I liked, and long cinnamon sticks. You can buy these at a lot of stores, health food stores, where I picked this up. And the cinnamon is that happiness and comfort kind of thing. So you can stick a cinnamon stick in there. Wonder if this one is too long. Yeah. Leave that out just so I can smell it. I had to have Ian try and snap them in half because they're very hard. It's a nice use of some of my stuff that's been hanging around my cupboard for a while. I picked some lavender that actually had some little sprouts on it from my garden. And according to this, sprigs of lavender encourage a calm and peaceful environment, which is always good to have if you're, in the midst of celebrating and stuff. I think I'll put that in this one here. Get in there. Yeah. You don't have to put everything in everybody. This is a dried rose. I picked this during the summer. I have a couple of them. And they're too big to put the whole thing in. But when they're dry like this, you dry them whole, then you can just pick a few pieces off and put them in, add a little bit of that sort of interesting muted color to what you're doing. And of course, roses are good for all kinds of nice feelings and sensations and so forth. I like the idea of making these and giving them away as Christmas presents or solstice presents. Protecting your friends and family. So, of some of the things that I found that I'd picked up for various purposes, and I don't even remember why, is I have a bunch of peony root. So I looked it up to make sure I knew what it was for. And it's kind of interesting where the cinnamon is that brown color. The peony root is like a white, sort of a bark almost looking kind of thing. And the peony root is for health and protection and good fortune and breaking jinxes. So it seems like a good thing to have, right? If somebody's trying to send you negative energy, are you going to fit in there? Nope, you're too long. These I can break. Okay, cool. Get in there. And you can do this as a family activity with children. They probably would absolutely adore being able to put cool stuff in a ball. I'm going to get another one for you. Apparently we got this for something in particular. Ian says that we got that for him. He was supposed to take it, but it's in my cupboard, so it was free range. And then I found some juniper berries. I didn't get them into Ian's. I'm going to add them into his because I wanted to add the juniper berries into his anyway. And again, you know, buying this kind of stuff for magical purposes, it doesn't have to have the same freshness, I don't think, as you might need it for medicinal purposes, for example. And the juniper berries, get my list here, are for protection and prosperity. And so, you know, it's just a good thing to have. Good to have some protection and prosperity. So I'm going to add this to Ian's ball. So it took me, he found the juniper berries for me. I couldn't find them when I was looking initially. Just pop off that top. I used some of these, I think, for, they have a nice smell to them, for some dream pillows. I think the juniper berries might have been in the stopping nightmares kind of pillow. And because I want them for protection, I think I'm putting 5 in that. As a significant number, why not, right? Then we close this thing back up again. Put the lid back on. It's like I got one of them bent. That's what happened. So these things, since they're sort of aluminum, I guess you have to be careful that you don't bend that little lip. There we go. That's back on now. And when you're finished, if you're worried about it, you can always put some glue around it to make sure, but I don't think it's going to come out. So I'm going to add juniper berries. To each one of these, just because. So you could actually get a little, what do you call it? Not a conveyor belt, but that idea. It's the wrong word. But you could have all the stuff laid out in front, knowing what they are and what they're for and so forth that you have lying around. And then everybody can just pick what they feel attracted to and make their own ball. Assembly line, that was the word I was looking for. Thank you. Okay, so I got some juniper berries in there. I have fresh sage in my garden, but I had a thing of whole sage, which I thought would be okay to add, especially, you know, since sage is just sort of the way it is, for more protection kind of stuff. I also have some dried rosemary that I picked from my garden, not just the fresh stuff from last year that I picked. These things actually start to smell pretty good after you put these fragrant things from your yard and your cupboard into them. Okay, got the sage. So here's some orange peel. Another thing that's fragrant. I think the orange peel, spiritual protection. So it seems a good thing, having our spirits protected. So, you know, you think about the properties of what you're adding as you add it. And a lot of this stuff you can just get in spice section. There's a lot of kind of stuff like that that you can use just from the regular spice section of your local store. So you don't have to like go online and find a special place to order them from. You can always buy your own oranges and dry your own peels. This time of year, a lot of people end up with tangerines and stuff like that, so you could do that this year and plan for doing more adornment or more balls the following season, or whenever you feel inspired to do so. It has a slight orange smell to it, but it's not fresh, so it doesn't have that really super strong smell. This is black peppercorn, which is for protection. I'm going to add this just to the red ball. Use black peppercorn in protection stuff, witches' balls or witches' bottles and things. Something that's slightly irritating to negative spirits. I don't want to add it to all of them for some reason, so I'm just going to add it to the one with the red. It's just another example of things that you can add that are in your cupboard. Now, these I don't think will fit, but I like the idea of them. I haven't decided what to do with these. These are actual whole nutmegs. I think one of them might be small enough to get in. So this is like a container of that show up there a little bit, yeah, of whole nutmegs. Yeah. Oh, it'll go in that one. Okay, I have one little whole nutmeg in it. Don't want to use them all because I don't know what I want to use them for yet, but one will fit. So okay then. And then this is the caraway seed. Oh, there's my other part of my rose. And seeds are acacia in general. Whenever you're using seeds, the seeds represent the potential for what, you know, for new life, for the essence of the plant in its form of waiting to become. So all seeds have a certain akashic connection to them by the nature of being seeds, because that's what they represent, that potential things. Put some caraway seeds there. And then here are some whole cloves. Again, cloves are very fragrant and also potent when it comes to being, let's see, what do we have in here? Used cloves in this one. Cloves attract good luck and prosperity. So, seems like everybody could use a little bit of good luck and prosperity. Why not, right? I didn't bring in my myrtle leaves, apparently, which I have in the house there in the bag. I just brought my big pot that had everything in it, I thought. I'll probably add those later. But, you know, bay leaves have similar properties to the myrtle leaves, but since I collected all that myrtle wood last Samhain, not this one recent, but the one before in 2019 on the new moon, and I dried the leaves and added them to the one I made for Ian. So in here you can, these here are the leaves. You can see those, the green things. And I have two different types. I have whole leaves that haven't been damaged, and then I have a bag of broken leaves, and since I'm trying to fit them in a small hole, I figured the broken ones would do just fine. So that's the idea of this. And let me put my stuff away over back in my bag here, or my pot. So I can find them again. Then you finish it off. I have my lids. Gotta remember that. Careful not to bend the outside. Make sure to line it up properly. Okay. Bent that. Oop, come back here. These things are easy to bend. Out. Oh, okay, try that one again. Okay. Got that one side. There's the one that bent out a little bit. That might be useful for these things to make sure that they're out before you start trying to put them on. There we go, that worked. And again, as you're putting them together, you think about the fact that you're making this marvelous little powerful decoration for your house and your home, and hang in your windows, hang from your tree if you use a tree. Did that again. That is a tendency. And there we go. Cool. And of course you can use any color ribbon you want. I just happen to have some of this lying around that I could find easily. Want to draw things on the outside of it. Want to add pentagrams to the inside. Crystals, stones, all that jazz. There's no wrong way of doing this. That's the beauty of these things. Like, you can let your imagination run, and whatever feels good to you is going to be right. You can't do them wrong. And knots are magical as well. So when you're tying your ribbon on, you're sort of sealing the spell, the properties, and everything that you... I'm trying to make them the same length. That's not working either. Like so, and there we go. So, that would be how you make some witches' balls. I really like the ones without any of the paint in them at all. I think it's kind of cool to look at the materials that, you know, the natural materials that are in there. And like with other balls, there's decorative balls you can buy all over the place. I picked some up that were kind of like golden earth tones or whatever. And you can turn anything like that into a protection or um, sort of a vessel to carry, whatever purpose you decide to put into it, whatever you want to do with it, kind of thing. By putting different things on the outside of it or hanging things from it. I don't know what that was. Looks like that was a piece of something. If you want to do all the mirror stuff, you can actually buy the balls already mirrored instead of having to do it yourself. But since we wanted to go through the whole process here, I figured that the clear ones were the best option for demonstration purposes, at least. And you can definitely make your own mirror that way. That doesn't want to go that way. It wants to go this way. Okay. So I made 4 of these right now. These 3 painted ones. And then this one here. We just made these today. So that didn't take too long. Having the stuff ready. And I made this one the other day when I was testing things out and figuring things out so that I could show you how to do this. So definitely like the idea of the egg carton. It makes it easier to not have things rolling around. And there's a list here of some of the different ingredients that you can use, according to the article I discovered anyway, and then some of the things I found out I had on hand and added to it. So they have here sprigs of lavender to encourage a calm, peaceful environment. We talked about the cinnamon to draw happiness and comfort, chamomile flowers to aid in relieving anxiety, yarrow, roses, and rose quartz crystals to encourage self-love and love in relationships, juniper berries for protection and prosperity, orange, lemon, or lime peels for spiritual protection, lilac to encourage psychic intuition, mistletoe or holly berries for strength, cloves to attract good luck and prosperity, seashell or shark tooth for the sea magic, anise to ward off the evil eye, bay leaf for protection, sea glass for transformation, peony root was the one I added, protect against misfortune, bolster health, breaking jinxes, and draw good fortune. Lucky charm, healer, promote prosperity, strong protector, ward off nightmares, happy marriage, riches, honor, and compassion. So it has all kinds of fun things in it. Myrtle, attract love, drive away evil spirits, and ward off harm. Rose, divine love, friendship, peace, happiness, lasting relationships. Caraway, health, protection, love, mental powers, memory, passion, anti-theft. And rosemary, good health and protection. And we added cedar, which is another protective plant, and sage, same kind of thing. So really, these were some of the ones that they recommended, and then some of the ones that I added because of what I had on hand when I was checking around in my cupboard. And of course, I did add the black pepper, which isn't on this list either. So that, you just do a little bit of research, see what you have lying around, see what plants or trees are growing in your area. I wasn't planning on using cedar until I went outside to get the rosemary and found the cedar branch on the ground. The last storm must have blown it off of the tree next door and put it on our lawn. So I figured it would be good to add, considering it had volunteered itself. And, like with any of these things, treating the plants, if you're going to pick them live, with respect and honor, letting them know what you're doing and what you're using them for. And plants are quite willing to allow you to take pieces of them, especially if you're using them for protective or magical purposes, because they get behind that whole idea. And if you're really worried about potentially offending the fae or the plant spirit, you can always give it an offering of some kind. And it can be as simple as a little bit of water, or you can give it a stone, um, or just a verbal thank you, or an offering of another plant that you have. Sometimes sage is used as an offering for plants. Uh, so, whatever comes to mind. You have to feel that inside of you and feel the energy with the plant that you're working with to see what's appropriate for that particular plant, because they're all going to have slightly different needs or wants or energetic feel to them. Since I grow all my herbs, I already have a relationship with plants because I'm the one who nurtured them and gave them a space to grow and so forth, and they know why they're there. So when I go out to pick a sprig of rosemary, I say thank you, but I don't have to do anything, you know, different or special in particular, since I've already done that part by planting the plant and giving it a space to grow and taking care of it and that kind of thing. So hopefully this gives you all kinds of notions and ideas. And like I said, if you're worried about these coming apart, although a glue gun is handy, you can also use like candle wax if you want to seal it with candle wax and that kind of thing to make it a little bit more ritual. But if you're going to use candle wax, be careful, because if you have plastic ones, it could melt the flame if it gets too close. So always consider safety first and consider the materials that you're using, and make sure you don't use anything extremely toxic. If you're going to use a toxic plant for protection, you need to wear gloves and know what poisonous plants there are out there in your area. So I guess that's about it. This Sunday we're going to do our live show about Yule, so any questions you have about Yule and celebrations or ideas or whatever you want to ask about that, we'll have an open dialogue about the upcoming solstice on Monday, and we'll talk to you then. So if you have any questions you want to send in an email to shifrasmagicalcove@gmail.com and put in a question for live show in your subject so that I know for sure what it is about, and then I can pick it up and write it down and see if I can address the issue when we have our show. I'm feeling much better, as you can tell. I'm still not 100%, but I'm getting close. So everybody have a wonderful time. I hope you enjoy the idea of making your own witch's balls, and I would love to see pictures if you make some and see what you've come up with. So this is Siofra's Magic Alcove, and I'm Siofra Bradigan. Blessed be.